Oftentimes the prayer leader, and I use that term specifically and intentionally because it's not necessarily a rabbi or a cantor. I see members of our congregation, including the Evans family, who lead services at the Jewish home. Others of you have led minions here. But whoever's leading the service on Shabbat often has to explain something about the Torah portion. But this week, you know the story. We start all over in the Garden of Eden. Adam and Eve, God creating the world. But what you may not have thought of is this question. Suppose Adam had refused. Suppose Adam had not eaten the forbidden fruit which his wife offered him, which ever since the 14th century has been associated with an apple, but we're not sure what the fruit was, doesn't matter. But according to the rabbis, Adam would have never died had he not violated the commandment, don't eat the fruit. And in rabbinic thought, death in some cases is a consequence for violations like this. If a person never sinned, he would never die. But since everybody does sin, everybody dies. So the question is a fascinating one. What if Adam had not accepted Eve's offer? How might that decision have changed the course of human history? Actually, somebody did ask that question a long time ago. In Jewish mysticism, if you're familiar with the word Kabbalah, and the Bible of Jewish mysticism is the Zohar, the story is told about a student who once asked his teacher Elimelech if the souls of all humanity were incorporated in Adam, because the name Adam means earth, all of our souls are in that one original man and woman, Eve. If all of our souls are in Adam, then you, Master, you were a part of Adam when he accepted the apple from Eve. You saw that he was about to sin. Why didn't you stop him? And Elimelech replied, I could have prevented Adam from eating the apple, but if I had, he would have resented it all his life. He would have always wondered what the alternative might have been like. He would have always thought, if only I had eaten from the apple, I might have been like God. So I decided not to stop him, Elimelech explained, because I did not want him to have any regrets. I did not want him to spend his life brooding over what might have been and complaining, if I had only done this, or if I had only done that. What a message for you and me. Nothing grieves us more than the prospect of what might have been if we had done something differently. Some people, you and I know, torment themselves too often and for too long with the vision of, if I had only done this. It's a universal affliction of human nature. But even the briefest thoughts about such regrets help us realize how useless these regrets truly are. Because when we spend a lifetime or even days brooding over what might have been, scolding ourselves for what we didn't do, resenting the whole world for what it didn't give them, what happens is we sap all our energy for what we can still do and still accomplish. You see, most people focus only on where they have been, not where they are going. We do best when we stop worrying about all the ifs. And the time I hear this most as a rabbi is after a loved one dies. If only I had treated the one I loved more kindly, called the doctor sooner, understood the full extent of the illness, taken better care of him or her, not lost my temper, expressed my affection more frequently. Perhaps we have said things we should not have said. Perhaps we have neglected to do things we should have done. But who hasn't? Within the last few months, I was with members who suffered the most terrible and most unnatural loss of all, the death of a child. They didn't say this, but other parents have said this to me. If only we had not given her permission to go with him, she would not have been involved in that accident. If only I had picked him up from school, he would not have been crossing the street at that moment. We, you, I can all think of a dozen if-only scenarios. But if-onlys cannot not only change the past and not only not bring back a loved one. Dwelling too long on if only prevents healing and the road to recovery from happening. Now, before I close, I'm not suggesting that all guilt is a bad thing, but there's a difference between healthy regret that motivates us and the if-only guilt that only cripples us. We need to rid ourselves of the kind of guilt that paralyzes us in our shame and replace it instead with the kind of feeling, even if there's some guilt in it, that motivates us to change and move forward. Healthy regret, healthy guilt can be life-changing when it motivates us to move forward in life, when it leads us to return to God as better human beings and as more devoted Jews. So that, my friends, in closing, is why Elimelech in Jewish mysticism did not prevent Adam from eating the forbidden fruit. It was Adam's free will and choice, yes. The consequences were his to face. But he didn't want the first person or any person to live a life of if-onlys. Amen.